The phone call came at 2:17 a.m. And with just 7 words, Kunal knew his life was over. Bro, the money is gone. Everything. The room suddenly felt smaller. His hands started shaking. Because that money wasn't just money. It was his father's land. His family's future. His wife's trust. And the only thing standing between him and the dream of leaving Nigeria forever. What happened next would cost him almost everything. If you've ever dreamed of leaving your country for a better life, subscribe now because this story might change the way you see success forever. 3 years earlier, Kunal was living what many Nigerians would call a decent life. Not rich. Not poor. Just comfortable. He lived in Ibadan with his wife Sade and their 2 children. He owned a small poultry farm inherited from his late father. The business paid the bills. School fees were covered. Rent was not a problem. Life wasn't perfect. But life was stable. Then social media entered the picture. Every morning before opening his poultry shop, Kunal would scroll through Instagram. Former classmates were posting pictures from Canada, the UK, Germany, America. Luxury apartments. Snow-covered streets. Brand new cars. Perfect smiles. Perfect lives. At least that's what it looked like. One evening he sat quietly during dinner. His wife noticed immediately. Kunal, what's wrong? He sighed. I'm tired. Tired of what? Tired of surviving. The room went silent. Sade looked at him carefully. We're doing okay. No. We're managing. That sentence changed everything. For weeks he became obsessed. Every YouTube video. Every relocation group. Every Facebook success story. Every WhatsApp status. They all seemed to say the same thing. Nigeria was hopeless. Abroad was paradise. And slowly, that idea poisoned his contentment. Then one afternoon he met a man called Victor. Victor spoke like someone who had all the answers. Corporate suit. Expensive watch. Smooth confidence. He claimed he helped Nigerians relocate overseas. Canada is looking for workers. Companies are hiring. 6 months from now, your life will change. Kunal was hooked. The processing fee was huge. Much bigger than anything he had ever spent. But Victor smiled. Think long term. A week later, Kunal sold one of his father's plots of land. Family members protested. His uncle nearly shouted. Your father suffered for that property. But Kunal couldn't hear them anymore. He was already mentally living abroad. The money was transferred. Documents were submitted. The waiting began. Then something strange happened. Victor stopped answering calls. Days became weeks. Weeks became months. Excuses multiplied. Network issues. Travel delays. Policy changes. Then one morning the office was empty. The signboard was gone. Victor had disappeared. With every naira. Just like that. Kunal lost years of savings. And this was only the beginning. Before we continue, tell us in the comments, if you had the chance to relocate tomorrow, would you take it? Because Kunal's next decision shocked everyone. The scam should have been enough. It should have been the moment Kunal stopped. The moment he accepted reality. The moment he focused on rebuilding. But pride is a dangerous thing. Especially when everybody already knows your plans. The entire neighborhood had heard about Canada. Church members were praying for him every Sunday. Friends had already started calling him our Canadian brother. Even his children were telling classmates their father was relocating. Going back now felt like public humiliation. So instead of stopping, Kunal doubled down. He became determined to prove everyone wrong. 3 months later, another opportunity appeared. This time through a friend from church. The agent was a woman called Mrs. Bello. Unlike Victor, she had an office. Employees. A website. Real clients walking in and out. Everything looked legitimate. When Kunal told his wife about it, she immediately frowned. Please be careful. This one is different. That's what you said last time. This is a second chance. Sade looked away. Something inside her felt uneasy. But Kunal wasn't listening. Desperation had become louder than wisdom. Within weeks, he sold another property. This one hurt. The land contained the unfinished house his father had planned to build before his death. His mother cried when she heard. Actually cried. Not out of anger. Out of pain. She held an old photograph of his father and said quietly, "Your father believed this house would protect generations." Connell couldn't look her in the eye. But he still signed the papers. Because in his mind, temporary sacrifice would lead to permanent success. Or so he thought. The process began. Medical tests. Documents. Interviews. Payments. More payments. Then more payments. Every month there seemed to be another fee. Another form. Another requirement. Still, Connell paid. Because after losing so much already, turning back felt impossible. Then one afternoon, his phone rang. His heart nearly exploded. It was the agent. "We have a problem." Connell froze. What problem? "The employer has withdrawn." The room suddenly became silent. But don't worry. Those 3 words always came before disaster. There is another option. The new option required more money. Of course. Always more money. Connell didn't have it. His poultry business had suffered badly. Many of his birds had died during a disease outbreak. Customers were reducing. Bills were increasing. For the first time in years, he was struggling financially. Then he made a decision that shocked his entire family. He sold the family house. The same house where his children took their first steps. The same house where his father spent his final days. The same house that represented everything his family had built. When Sade heard about it, she couldn't believe it. "You sold our house. We'll buy a better one abroad." "Connell. We're almost there." "No." Her voice cracked. "We are almost nowhere." For several seconds nobody spoke. Then their youngest daughter entered the room. "Daddy, are we moving?" Connell forced a smile. "Yes, princess." She smiled happily. But Sade turned away. Because she was the only one who understood the truth. Their future now depended entirely on a promise. And promises can disappear. Just like Victor had. The next 6 months felt like 6 years. Stress consumed the family. Arguments became normal. Sleep became difficult. Every unknown phone call created panic. Every email triggered anxiety. Then finally, the message arrived. Connell stared at his phone. Read it once. Twice. 3 times. Then tears filled his eyes. His visa had been approved. After years of losses, disappointments, and sacrifices. It was finally happening. The family celebrated. Neighbors gathered. Church members rejoiced. Special Thanksgiving services were held. People danced. People prayed. People congratulated him. At the airport, relatives took countless photos. Some even asked him to help them relocate later. Everyone saw a success story. Nobody saw the fear hiding behind Connell's smile. Because deep down, he knew one terrifying fact. If this didn't work, there was nothing left to come back to. And what waited for him abroad would prove far more difficult than anything he had experienced in Nigeria. The moment the plane landed, Connell pressed his face against the window. Everything looked different. The roads. The buildings. The weather. For years, he had imagined this moment. The beginning of a better life. The beginning of wealth. The beginning of freedom. But within 2 weeks, reality slapped him hard. The corporate job he had been promised didn't exist. The company had changed its hiring requirements. His qualifications were not recognized. His years of experience meant almost nothing. Suddenly, the man who had once managed his own business was being offered cleaning jobs. Warehouse shifts. Factory work. Night shifts. Anything available. The first time he entered the warehouse, his heart sank. Rows and rows of shelves stretched endlessly. Workers moved like machines. The supervisor pointed at a scanner. "You'll be working 12 hours. 12. Sometimes 14. Connell forced a smile. Inside, panic was rising. This wasn't the dream. This wasn't what he sold everything for. But he needed money. So he accepted. The work was brutal. His back hurt constantly. His hands developed blisters. His feet felt like they were on fire after every shift. Yet every month, after rent, taxes, transportation, food, and bills, almost nothing remained. The dollars looked big. The expenses were bigger. Back home, nobody knew. Because social media only showed one version of life. The happy version. The filtered version. The version people wanted others to see. So Kunal posted pictures. Beautiful streets. Shopping malls. Snowfall. Restaurants. Smiling selfies. Meanwhile, some nights he survived on instant noodles. Some nights he skipped meals completely. Some nights he sat alone in his tiny room wondering whether he had destroyed his own future. Then came the pressure. The phone calls started. Relatives. Friends. Neighbors. Everyone wanted help. Kunal, please send something. My rent is due. My daughter needs school fees. I heard money is easy over there. Money is easy. Every time he heard those words, he almost laughed. Or cried. Sometimes both. One evening his younger cousin called. Big bro, I need just 500,000 naira. Kunal checked his account balance. His chest tightened. He didn't even have enough savings for an emergency. Yet everyone assumed he was rich. Because he was abroad. That illusion slowly became another prison. Then things became worse. One night, Sade called from Nigeria. Her voice sounded strange. What happened? She hesitated. The landlord came today. Kunal sat upright. What did he want? The rent is increasing. His stomach dropped. The family was already struggling. The money he sent barely covered expenses. Now costs were rising again. And then she said something he would never forget. Kunal. Yes. I don't think the children are happy anymore. Silence. Heavy silence. Our son misses you. Kunal closed his eyes. Our daughter cries at night. His throat tightened. He asked me yesterday if Daddy is ever coming home. For several seconds, Kunal couldn't speak. Because for the first time, he realized what this journey had truly cost him. Not money. Not property. Time. Moments. Memories. Family. The things you can never buy back. Months passed. Then one winter morning, everything exploded. Kunal arrived at work and immediately sensed something was wrong. Managers were holding meetings. Employees were whispering. Faces looked nervous. An hour later, everyone was gathered together. The announcement lasted less than 5 minutes. The company was downsizing. Hundreds of workers would be laid off. Including him. Just like that. No warning. No preparation. No backup plan. One sentence. One meeting. And years of sacrifice suddenly stood on the edge of collapse. As he walked back to his apartment through the freezing cold, his phone vibrated. A message from Nigeria. His wife. At first he smiled. Then he opened it. And his entire world stopped. Because attached to the message was a photograph. A photograph that would force him to confront the biggest regret of his life. And what he saw in that image left him unable to sleep for days. Kunal stared at the photograph for nearly 5 minutes. Then 10. Then 20. Unable to move. Unable to look away. It was the land. His father's land. The very first property he had sold. But it wasn't empty anymore. A massive housing estate now stood there. Modern buildings. Paved roads. Streetlights. Children playing. Families thriving. The land he had sold for a fraction of its value had become worth millions. Maybe tens of millions. His hands began to tremble. A second message arrived from Sade. The developer finished the project. People are moving in every week. Kunal swallowed hard. Then another message. Do you remember when your mother begged you not to sell? That one hurt. Because he remembered. He remembered everything. His mother's tears. His uncle's warnings. His wife's fears. The arguments. The sleepless nights. The promises he made. Promises that now felt like lies. That night, Connell couldn't sleep. For hours he sat in darkness, looking at old photographs. His poultry farm. His children when they were younger. His father smiling beside the land. The family house. Everything was gone. Not stolen. Not destroyed. Given away by his own hands. And for what? A warehouse job that no longer existed? A tiny apartment thousands of miles from home? A life built on survival instead of progress? That question haunted him. For months after losing his job, Connell struggled. He picked up temporary work. Cleaning offices. Delivering packages. Loading trucks. Anything that paid. The dream he once chased now felt like a burden he carried every day. Then something unexpected happened. One Sunday after church, an elderly Nigerian man approached him. The man had lived abroad for over 25 years. He listened quietly as Connell poured out his frustrations. The scams. The losses. The regrets. The shame. When Connell finished speaking, the old man nodded slowly. Then he said something that changed everything. You keep mourning what you lost. Connell looked up. The man continued. But you have not learned from it. What do you mean? You lost land. Yes. You lost money. Yes. You lost opportunities. Yes. The old man leaned forward. But if you spend the next 10 years crying about yesterday, you'll lose tomorrow too. Those words hit harder than any insult. Because deep down, Connell knew they were true. For years he had been living inside regret. Every decision. Every thought. Every conversation. All centered around what he should have done differently. But regret was not paying bills. Regret was not helping his family. Regret was not building a future. For the first time in a long time, Connell stopped looking backward. And slowly, things began to change. He enrolled in training programs. Learned new skills. Started networking. Applied for opportunities he would have ignored before. The progress was slow. Painfully slow. But it was progress. 5 years after leaving Nigeria, Connell finally returned home for a visit. At the airport, his children ran into his arms. They were taller now. Older. Different. The years suddenly felt very real. His wife hugged him tightly. Neither spoke. Words weren't enough. As they drove through the city, Connell looked out the window. Nigeria had changed. But so had he. Then they passed the old estate built on his father's land. Connell stared quietly. No anger. No tears. No bitterness. Just acceptance. Because he finally understood something. The biggest mistake wasn't leaving Nigeria. Many people leave and succeed. Many people build incredible lives abroad. The biggest mistake was making life-changing decisions based on pressure, hype, and promises instead of facts. That evening, he sat with his family outside their modest home. The sun was setting. Children laughed nearby. The air smelled of roasted corn. And for the first time in years, he felt peace. Not because he had become rich. Not because everything worked out perfectly. But because he finally stopped chasing the version of success other people sold to him. Before we finish, if this story touched you, hit the like button and subscribe for more powerful real-life stories. And tell us in the comments, what country are you watching from, and would you still relocate if given the chance? Because sometimes the grass is greener on the other side. And sometimes, it's greener where you're standing, if you're willing to water it. The final lesson Connell learned was one he wished someone had told him years earlier. Never sell your future to buy a dream you haven't verified. Some opportunities change lives. But some promises only change what you lose.